Do you think the Germans ever thought about logistics when it came to maintenance of vehicles? Like with
No.
what they were going into the Eastern Front with? I,
Uh,
that's one of my favorite. I don't know if people know. I'm not the guy who writes the YouTube episodes for Kings and Generals Eastern Front week by week series, but I have to follow it up with the podcast version. It's the same thing I did for the Pacific War week by week. I just took this other guy's work. Although for the Pacific War, I actually wrote a bunch of the episodes. It's kind of different. But for the Eastern Front, I'm basically following his work and expanding upon it because, I'm turning something that's like 2,000 words into basically like 8,000 words. And it's when you actually sit down as a researcher and you look at the number of different vehicles the Germans during Operation Barbarossa, what they brought into the Eastern Front, oh my God. It's the most duct taped hodgepodge amount of crap you've ever seen. They're using like they're using like a bunch of French trucks and French tanks, Italian models. Like uh, if you just kept it at what the Germans were building themselves, there's still like hundreds of different variations of vehicles. Nothing standardized. It makes
yeah,
no sense.
I'm trying to find some images of the different types of vehicles
Oh,
because
it's crazy.
and they do not have that much facilities. So despite have
Yeah.
it is actually quite funny before World War II broke out. Despite Italy and Germany having pretty very famous automobile names, they were
Yeah.
the most under mechanized countries. France,
Yeah.
Britain, and the United States. I think in US it was like
You can't even compare the US to the rest of
oh
them
yeah,
because the United
I mean
States, it's like what every third or fourth person knew how to drive a
ye-
car, where in
yeah, and I think
Germany it was 1 out of 20 or something.
it's I think there was like one uh car for every 30 to 35 Germans and Italians,
Yeah.
whereas for Britain and France that ratio was more closer to 1 in 10 to 12.
And then the United States is killing them all.
Yeah, but see, at least Britain and France still have the base.
Yeah. And I don't know if I think you might have mentioned this on a previous podcast, but one of the funniest things, if you look at it from a logistical point of view for tanks, well, it's not even just the American tanks, the Allied tanks were standardized and they could be pretty much operated by someone who knew how to drive a car. You probably could operate it. But for the German tanks, it was so goddamn complicated on how to drive it that you had to be trained. So of course, it's just like going to limit your logistics.
So this is, I guess, some pictures of some of the armored tanks.
Oh
And
my
I'm
God,
not.
yeah.
This is not even getting transport vehicles. I can't recall. There was like this minister appointed just at the start of the outbreak of World War II to standardize cars, because a lot of these, like if you had a BMW car or a Mercedes car or Volkswagen, they, as you mentioned, they have completely different parts, different gear ratios, different
Yeah.
axles. Uh, you're not going to standardize that. And when they used, when they started deploying for Operation Barbarossa, they took whatever they could from France, Belgium, Netherlands, the Balkans,
Everything for
and
the Czech vehicles were a
yeah,
big boost to them. Yeah.
and now the problem is they don't have the spots.
Yeah.
The
They have nothing.
British, Shermans, Churchills, Cromwells, even the Pershings, they
Yeah.
all had the same set of parts. So even in the worst case, if an American tank is just rescued by a British crew, or the British crew is the first to reach out, they will be able to just get the parts needed to get that tank back in action if it's
Have
possible.
the same training. They're all using the
Yeah,
same vehicles. So it's the same crews can pretty much repair just about everything, same parts. Whereas for the Germans, you're sitting there looking at some Czech tank from the 30s, like, I don't have the parts for this. I don't know what I'm doing. It's ridiculous. But I'll hand it to the Germans. It was very smart to use this initially in Barbarossa because you just sacrifice all of this extra stuff that you've conquered. Use it. That's great. But they had to rely on it because they weren't fully mechanized, like you said. So they come in looking gangbusters. Like they've got all of these vehicles, but it's like in a matter of months, it's all gone. And when they press Hitler for production, Hitler's like, oh, I don't want to upset the civilian population of Germany. We can't just ramp up production because people will think we're losing the war. Well, guess what,
and
asshole?